Hey you guys, welcome back. Recently, I made a video where I went on a junior account and some things really shocked me that I wasn't expecting. Today, I wanted to talk about these issues and why I think Rec Room needs to step up their game, literally, to do better protecting these kids on junior accounts. Be sure to enter code Tara in your watch in Rec Room or just hit the big support button on my profile the next time you're playing if you enjoy this type of content. Oh, and I almost forgot, today's video is sponsored by VR Wave, but I'll chat more about that later on. Alright, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1. It's on room creators to stop juniors from visiting their maps. Despite Rec Room's website claiming that user-generated content with frightening or mature themes does not allow access to junior players, I learned quickly that this is not the case. If you're a room creator, you can put a warning on your room by checking a box for various reasons: violence, gore, mature themes, etc. However, in my experience, people rarely do. They don't want to deter any visits or room traffic, which are hard enough to generate for creators as it is. There's also a toggle in every room creator's moderation settings to allow or not allow junior accounts in their room. So even without warning of these mature themes, creators could simply turn off this setting. Again, I have not seen this being utilized, and Rec Room seems to just put this responsibility on the map creators. When I was trying out a junior account, I was able to go to a Russian roulette map and shoot other players with a pretty realistic looking gun. I was able to access a multitude of horror maps, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting that. If you're a parent reading the Parent's Guide to Rec Room on their website, you'd probably be pretty confident that the game is safe for kids with these restrictions in place. But within 5 minutes of actually playing Rec Room as a junior, I had access to maps like Spin the Bottle, Little Nightmares, Gun Simulator, Never Have I Ever, and Autopsy of Jane Doe. The list goes on. Number 2. In addition to content creators not blocking juniors from most maps with mature themes, Rec Room themselves recommends categories such as horror to junior accounts immediately after one starts playing the game. Horror was the category right in the middle when I completed orientation on my junior account. Sure, some horror maps aren't too scary, but I found it a little ironic that Rec Room themselves are pushing this type of content to kids under 13. After all, in VR especially, horror maps can be extremely realistic, despite Rec Room's cartoon-like aesthetics. I popped into an ignited FNAF horror map just to see for myself, and the jump scare was almost too much for me. And I'm an adult. I can only imagine being like 10 years old, thinking Rec Room is super safe, and you come across something that frightening. It's nightmare fuel, really. I wish that Rec Room customized orientation for juniors, maybe allowing some specific junior-friendly maps for them to check out, and even give them a little quick tutorial on ways to stay safe in the game. Sure, you can read about these tips on Rec Room's website, but I think a quick refresher for the kids would be appropriate in-game so they know what to expect. After all, I'm thinking about my next point. Number 3. Juniors can join lobbies with older kids and even adults. If kids under 13 could only play with other mute players who are of a similar age, I feel like Rec Room would be a slightly different experience. I've joked about this many times on my channel, mostly in skits, about the notorious junior account who won't stand on the mat in quests to get the game started. Because people who are older can't communicate with juniors because they don't have mics or the ability to hear, it's often an exercise in frustration. I've witnessed people downright bullying a junior to try and get them to listen and follow the game rules. I don't even know if they realized they weren't able to hear or they just thought they weren't listening. But either way, it seems like an oversight to let these players assimilate into the regular world of Rec Room, but then just take away any ability they would have to communicate. I'm sure it's frustrating on both ends. And I know this might sound dark, but this is the internet, so let's be real. Allowing these young players to hang out with adults could open up the door for more sinister stuff to happen. Again, a special tutorial in orientation for the juniors could be useful. Just get them used to blocking people and teach them to leave a room if they feel uncomfortable, and then teach them how to report the offending player. I'm not sure how many of us actually figure this out. It personally took me ages to realize how to block, mute, and report players in Rec Room. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but there's actually a room chat feature where you can type, but there's also automated responses in there. I feel like those auto responses made available to the junior accounts could really help communication. After all, they would just be limited to those generic answers. If they were also limited to hanging out with other junior accounts, this might actually make their gaming experience safer, yet more enjoyable. Number 4. Juniors can see and purchase custom clothing items. Another major flaw in the current system of Rec Room is the fact that junior accounts can access the UGC clothing items in the game. Most of the custom shirts are super cute and nothing to worry about. Take my portfolio for example. All of these custom shirts are wholesome and they're suitable for all ages. However, in the Rec Room store, it didn't take me long on a junior account to see the trending clothing from the community tab, click on it, and find this interesting shirt. What's worse, I was able to purchase it and immediately wear it. Does this seem like appropriate behavior for like a 10-year-old? In my opinion, the answer is of course not. They can buy and wear shirts like this, yet they can't create their own maker pen rooms? Something seems a little backwards here. And don't get me wrong, custom clothing is a great way to personalize your look in Rec Room and support artists in the game. However, maybe these artists have to check a box when publishing their custom shirts, which states, is this safe for juniors to purchase? That might stop some of this from happening. The moderation on the user-generated content is a gray area at best. Personally, I don't even think these shirts are very tasteful, but to each their own. Number 5. Juniors can't use creation tools, but they can see whiteboards. The first thing that I saw on my junior account when I headed to Lounge, a popular, well, maybe not popular, Rec Room original, were explicit drawings on the whiteboards. Again, this seems like a huge oversight that junior accounts can't draw anything themselves, but yet tons of rooms in the game have these whiteboards where people can and do frequently draw obscene things. I'm not sure if there's simply a way to disable them from being able to see a canvas, but it's kind of ironic to me that they can't enjoy the art tools, yet they're subject to seeing the horribly distasteful tasteful pieces of art, and I throw the word art around loosely, that older players have trolled on canvases. The other thing that kind of irks me is that juniors can only use a maker pen in their dorms. They can't make rooms. If they already can't talk to anyone, what's the harm in letting them go nuts in the maker pen room, learning the ropes on how to build? They'll be 13 eventually, and at that point, they could have a great head start on knowing circuits, environment creation, and overall, let's be real, some of the most creative people on this planet are kids. Their imagination knows no bounds. So I'm not entirely sure why we can't let them just build in Rec Room to their heart's content. It's one of the only fun activities to do when you can't speak to anyone in the game anyway. Again, I might be missing something, and there might be a perfectly valid reason for all the rules being how they are, but it just seems a little odd to me. Before we continue on to the next point about these junior accounts, let's take a moment to appreciate our sponsor of the day, VR Wave. These amazing folks have made it possible for all you glasses-wearing enthusiasts to put away your specs and start gaming in comfort. No more wrestling with ill-fitting glasses and squinting to play your favorite game. Those days are over, because VR Wave offers prescription lenses that fit right into your VR headset, and they're so simple to use. I have great vision myself, but I can't resist the charm of VR Wave's blue light non-prescription lenses. They protect my eyes from blue light exposure and keep my headset lenses pristine. Look, I tend to not be the most careful with my valve index, so I'm grateful to have these easy-to-install lenses that stop my headset from getting all scratched up. Plus, VR Wave offers other awesome accessories for your VR like carrying cases, cozy face covers, head straps, and more. Don't believe me? Check out the link in the description below after the video and see for yourself. Alright, let's get back to the more serious topic at hand, junior accounts. My next point is this. Number 6. Parents have to specifically disable purchases or juniors can spend. One thing I noticed when testing out the junior account limitations was that if a payment method is hooked up like a Steam account, it's easy to go nuts and start buying tokens. I know that you can go into your settings and specifically disable in-game purchases, but how many parents are going to remember to do that for their kids? I do feel that junior accounts should automatically have that setting turned off because, let's be real, they may not have the same sense of financial savviness that the older kids would have. They might not even know what they're doing when they just blow 50 bucks on an S storefront because it looked cool. I was able to buy the starter pack that's constantly being advertised with little effort. I feel bad wondering how many parents of junior accounts figured Rec Room was a free game with nothing to buy and then saw their credit card bill later and wondered what the heck happened. I mean, it's not really little Timmy's fault that it's so accessible. Number 7. There's no age verification, so juniors often end up on regular accounts. One thing that's very controversial in Rec Room is the lack of age verification. It's just on the user to state their birthday, and if they enter the year, it automatically creates a junior account if necessary, but most people lie or enter a random number. In my experience playing the game, I have encountered countless, like probably hundreds of players, who are clearly in the 7 to 10 age range and on a regular account. And there is the reporting feature to tattletale on underage people if you suspect that or they divulge their real age, at which point they can get demoted to a junior account. But I've always wondered, is that enough? It's literally on the community to determine who is running around breaking the rules and report them accordingly. If they just required some form of age verification, maybe less people would want to jump through those hoops when creating accounts, but it would be safer for everyone overall. Maybe people are automatically placed without voice privileges until they verify with ID. I think that's how Roblox works, isn't it? I'm not sure of the logistics of this idea, admittedly, but it's something I've often wondered about. Number 7. VR headsets are heavy. This is just a side observation and more in the general, is VR safe for kids than Rec Room specifically, but man, my headset hurts after having it on my head for like an hour, and I'm an adult. I can only imagine the strain on a kid's neck and shoulders and potentially their still developing eyes by having a giant VR headset that doesn't quite fit them. Because after all, these things are really built with adults in mind. They're not really meant for 7-year-olds. Meta recently lowered their age recommendation from 13 to 10, I believe, but I think that might have been more marketing strategy than scientific data regarding the health and well-being of kids. Let's be real, we don't really know the long-term consequences of VR gaming for developing minds. Initial studies don't look that promising. At the end of the day, parents need to parent their kids. Rec Room can and should, in my opinion, do more to keep players safe. Regardless though, I felt pretty sad some days seeing how young and unsupervised kids are running around in the game. I wonder where the parents are. VR headsets and tablets and mobile phones aren't a replacement for a babysitter, but it sure seems like some people use them for exactly that. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure the internet isn't very good at raising children, so you should probably check in with your kids frequently and make sure they're not showing signs of angst while playing the game. Gauge their mood, see how they feel after logging off, double check that they're on a junior account if they're supposed to be, ask who they're chatting with, making friends with, and really open the lines of communication. I mean, I'm not saying be a helicopter parent always hovering, nor am I saying take parenting advice from someone like me who doesn't have kids. I just think a lot of things are common sense, and at the end of the day, it takes a village to raise a child, as the expression goes. We as community members and players should try not to swear and try to act more supportive around the younger players, and yes, the game could do more to protect them, and yes, parents could do more to be aware of the situation and act accordingly. Okay, this turned into some sort of TED Talk. My bad. If you want to watch the video where I experimented going on a junior account in Rec Room, I put it on screen here. It was pretty eye-opening for me, not gonna lie. We'll see you over there, and if you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. See you later. Tarapeutic out.